new interview with Entertainment Weekly, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes director Wes Ball was asked about the soon-to-be-released raw cut of the film, how it came to be, and why he wanted to make it happen. I'm here to dive a little deeper and give my thoughts on what he had to say. If you like what I do here and want to show your support, be sure to hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all things apes. Enjoy the video. Everybody, and welcome to Ape Nation, your number one source for all things Planet of the Apes on YouTube. My name is Josh, and today I wanted to take a look at a new interview with Wes Ball, director of the latest film in the franchise, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, where the filmmaker discussed the ins and outs of the upcoming raw cut of the film. And for those who don't know what the raw cut is, this is an all-new way to watch the movie that will be available as a bonus feature on the 4K Blu-ray copy of the film, which will be releasing next week on August 27th. And as a side note, I will of course be doing an unboxing and review of the 4K Steelbook once I get my copy, so if that is something that interests you, be sure to keep an eye out for that next week. But back to the raw cut, this will be a split screen version of the movie that will show the full movie but without any of the ape visual effects or CGI applied yet, and all of the actors giving their performances in motion capture suits on one side of the screen, and the final cut with all finished visual effects on the other side of the screen. The purpose of this cut of the film is to show off the actors' performances in the film compared to their CGI counterparts, and helping audiences and fans have a better understanding of just how much of these actors we're seeing in the final film. Funnily enough, it was actually here on the Ape Nation channel where Wes Ball first revealed that he was working on this cut of the movie back when I talked to him about the movie in April.
I'm gonna do my damnedest to help to show people what it does on these movies. I think they do not appreciate the incredible artistry and just pain and just, I mean, sheer creativity and just, I don't know, it's miracles every shot. And I'm doing a little thing for the DVD where you can watch the movie, where the entire movie with the raw dailies.
I would love that. So that's honestly, that's something I've wanted for the last three movies.
Yeah, I'm working on that where you'll be able to like watch and just see the final and the raw dailies, sometimes where there's no dailies at all, where you can just watch it and you can see how close they get and what they do and just how they stitch everything together. It's amazing. And you can just sit there and just enjoy it. And I'll do some commentary over it with Eric and stuff, or VFX Soup. And I'm not sure if I'm giving something away for there, but whatever. But I think it's going to be great. I think for geeks like us, it's going to be a first. You know, they've never seen this kind of thing. And you will appreciate sort of like, my God, look what they have to do. It's amazing.
Now I want to read a bit of what Wes Ball had to say about this version of the movie, and then I want to break it down a bit and give some additional thoughts. During the year or so spent in post-production, working on more than 1,500 VFX shots, we would frequently compare our VFX works in progress with the original footage, ensuring we were getting the details right, Ball tells EW. I often found myself completely mesmerized by the magic of Weta VFX's work and how seamlessly it translated from the raw dailies. Around the latter half of post, it struck me how fantastic it would be to share this experience with fans like myself, those who relish peeking behind the curtain of movie making. Ball was pleasantly surprised at the response he got to his idea. When I brought the idea to the studio, there was unsurprisingly no resistance, he says. They too are film nerds and thought it was a cool idea. The only challenge we faced was logistical, navigating the technicalities of data budgets and figuring out how to include an entirely separate version of the film on the discs without sacrificing visual quality. The director acknowledges that this experience may not appeal to everyone, but for those fascinated by the filmmaking process, especially with VFX films like Kingdom, they're going to freaking love it, he adds. It's a rare behind-the-scenes glimpse into the cutting edge of modern cinema. Ball was inspired to release this cut because he grew up in the era of DVDs and their rich behind-the-scenes features. I often found myself watching those documentaries more than the movies themselves, he says. Unfortunately, we don't get a lot of that stuff today, so this release is my way of giving back, offering something that would have inspired me as a young filmmaker. filmmaker. Perhaps more importantly, I see this as a unique way to celebrate the extraordinary work of our VFX team at Weta VFX, as well as the unseen talent of our amazing actors. Without their dedication, these films simply wouldn't exist. The director wants to give fans a more realistic peek behind the curtain of what it takes to make visual effects heavy movies like this. I believe most general audiences assume this kind of work is just a product of magic software or a push of a computer button, Ball says, when in reality it's a blend of immense talent, artistry, and collaboration between our VFX team and deeply committed performers that truly bring the magic to life. The experience of making Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes taught Ball more than he could ever know. This film felt like being thrown into the deep end, but thanks to an extraordinary team, it was an incredible journey that allowed me to grow as a filmmaker within this amazing franchise. He says, "It was a real honor for me. I've certainly deepened my understanding of how to wield the technology in more innovative ways, but at the same time, I've also reaffirmed a timeless truth. It's always about story and character. The visuals are there to enhance the audience experience, not lead it. Just as I was beginning to grasp the full scope of the process, it was time to deliver the film to the world. Now, I'm more excited than ever to explore what the future may hold." And you can read that entire article at the link down in the description of this video, and on that page you can also check out the first clip from the raw cut of the film for yourself.
Fail to observe one of the most important. You cannot trust a human. Here comes your clan to bear witness.
So when it comes to this raw cut of the film that we're going to be getting, and I said this when I talked to Wes Ball, I said this right to him, this is something that I have wanted to see since Rise of the Planet of the Apes, because I have been obsessed with performance capture since I first saw Lord of the Rings when I was about 12 years old. I actually didn't see those movies in theaters. I didn't see them until a few years after they had come out. But when I first saw them and I discovered Gollum and how he came to life, and that was how I discovered Andy Serkis, and seeing how they took his performance that he did on set and then translated it into a CGI character, I was just so blown away by that. Of course, he was not the first. You have something like Ahmed Best with Jar Jar Binks years prior, but what they did with him was really revolutionary and is why we have Caesar today and Noah today and all these ape characters and things like the Avatar movies today. And so I was just so obsessed with performance capture from a pretty young age, and I was so excited about the possibilities of what they could do with it and how much more realistic they can make things look and how much more they could bring actors into CGI characters and all that kind of stuff. So I was always enamored by that, and a part of that was because I always loved seeing those little clips and behind the scenes images and things of Andy Serkis as Gollum and then later as Caesar acting without the CGI and seeing how close they get it to the final cut. I always was so enamored by that stuff. I was always so interested in watching those clips, and I was always so bummed that we only ever got to see them in little short 30-second and 1 minute long clips, and it was only a few scenes here and there. We never got to see entire sequences. We never got to see a full movie presented in this way, presented in a side-by-side manner. And so that was something I've always wanted to see, so I'm really glad that now we're finally going to get to see it with Kingdom. So that's a big reason that I'm really excited to get to check out this raw cut in just a few days from now. Something that Wes Ball also mentioned in this interview, and was kind of the thing that stuck out to me the most, was his inspiration for doing this, the main driving point of why he wanted to do this. And it was him talking about growing up with hours of bonus features, and like he said, watching those documentaries and behind the scenes making ofs more than the movies themselves. And that really resonated with me because that was me as a kid when I was growing up. When I was young, when DVDs were in their heyday, when we were getting these great releases, these deluxe editions, these 2-disc special edition DVDs of all the big franchise movies and even just other smaller movies and classic movies, I would obsess over this stuff. I was obsessed with making of documentaries and behind the scenes features on the DVDs. I would spend entire weekends binging the features on my Star Wars prequel or Harry Potter DVDs that I had, and that was where a lot of my film education came from. You know, I did go to film school, but even then, a lot of what I know about film today and a lot of my knowledge about filmmaking and a lot about film history came from growing up watching hours and days, if not weeks worth of material of bonus features and behind the scenes documentaries and making ofs and featurettes and deleted scenes and director and producer and editor and writer audio commentaries on movies. I would just spend so much time obsessing and watching through all this stuff. So having a filmmaker that comes from that same background, comes from that same school of thought, who used to love that same kind of thing, who was as obsessed and as interested in that kind of stuff as I was, and that a lot of fans were when DVDs and Blu-rays were much more of a prominent thing. Unfortunately, they just aren't today, and bonus features and behind the scenes stuff just isn't as much of an importance today as it was back then. But having someone who understands the value of it and having someone who appreciates the value of it be the one who has been spearheading this project and making this film and putting this raw cut together, it just gets me as a fan of this movie and just as a film fan in general more excited to watch it, and it just makes me feel like Wes Ball gets it. So that was a big takeaway from me reading this article. And then as for the raw cut itself and some of the things I'm really excited that could come from it, the first thing really is just it's the first of its kind. We've never seen an entire movie shown without CGI before like this. Of course, I'm sure people that have gone to test screenings of certain movies, of course the people that work behind the scenes have seen raw cuts of other movies, but something like this has never been released on home media. Something like this has never been made available to the entire audience, to the entire public. So this is really a first of its kind, and I think that's really exciting in and of itself. Another thing is that I think this has the potential to make me appreciate the film even more, as well as the actors and the CGI artists, what this cut could do. And just judging off the clip they released, which is only about a minute and a half long, just seeing that, I was so drawn in to watching the actors' performances and then going back and forth and looking at how it compares to the final cut and how close they get in a lot of these shots. And it's just so mind-blowing. And so I am so excited to go through this entire cut and probably end up pausing, rewinding, skipping around, and just seeing how it's all done and how they put it all together. I think that's going to be really exciting and really fun for me as a fan, and it's going to make me appreciate what they did with this movie and what the people at Weta do so much more. And I think it's going to be the same for a lot of people that watch this cut. And one other thing is that I think this raw cut has the potential to open up new possibilities for performance capture and get it more recognition than it currently gets. Of course, we've come a long way since the early days of performance capture, when people didn't really give it the time of day, when people didn't really understand it, and people didn't take it as seriously as they do now. I think this could maybe get those conversations going about where does performance capture acting fall when it comes to awards? Where does it fall when it comes to how seriously can we take this stuff, and how much can we actually compare real live action performances with performance capture performances that are done through CGI? I really wonder if this cut could finally get the ball rolling on those conversations in a legitimate, realistic way. Maybe not, but I think it's definitely possible. And maybe it could even lead to raw cuts of other CGI heavy films like the Caesar trilogy. I'd love to see all three of those movies presented this way, or even the Avatar movies, which I'd really love to see presented this way. You know, there are more and more movies today than there were years ago that are heavily driven by CGI characters and are filled with CGI worlds, and I would love to get the chance to see a lot more of those movies presented in this way. So I think there's a lot of reason to be excited about this cut. I think there's so much that can come from this cut. I think there's so much that can be learned from this cut when we eventually see it, and obviously we'll know more about that when we do see it in just a few days. But I want to know what you all think about the raw cut and what Wes Ball had to say about it. What are your thoughts on how it came to be? What are your thoughts on kind of his reasoning behind it and the possibilities that could come from it? I want to know all about what you guys have to say down in the comments below. Thank you so much for checking out today's video here on Ape Nation. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all things apes. I'll catch you in the next one, so until then, goodbye.